xây tương thân tình trong đạo Phật, tùy khác màu nhưng một tôn sư. Hôm nay đây cùng nhau họp mặt, quyết noi theo đường Phật giáo Hoàng Dương.
Nam Mô A Di Đà Phật. Welcome to Sang Noi Sang Phật. My name is Sekju Ang Tri, and today I have with me Tai Ung Min, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Dharma and Buddhism. And one of the topics that arose to me today with the news lately is about climate change and how the world is at a very poor situation right now.
Yeah.
And so how does Buddhism have any viewpoints on the world or pollution or how we should treat the world in itself? Do you have any thoughts upon that, Tai Ung Min?
Yes, that is an excellent question. In Buddhism, we protect, we strive to protect, right? We strive to preserve, but we understand the laws of impermanence, everything constantly change, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we intentionally go out to destroy the environment. See, for example, a lot of the reason why people destroy the environment is for other motives, right? They destroy land, or they destroy the forest for land, right? They destroy land or destroy the rivers for oil, like the Dakota piping, the whole ordeal. And you can see right now the U.S. is pulling out of the Paris Climate Agreement, right? I don't want to go into all the political stuff, but just a move like that, when the majority of the world comes together and see that climate change is happening, that the world is getting hotter, and because of our own carbon emission, we add on to that layer where the earth is going to get hotter and hotter. And the more we add on to it, the variables that we add on to it, it's going to change the overall variables of the planet. Because before, during the time where it did not have the Industrial Revolution, right? People live very naturally.
Right.
They catch animals to eat whatever they need, and they don't really live in abundance like we do now. Like in the world that we live in right now, we're living in full abundance. Just overindulgence in food, overindulgence in liquor, overindulgence in sex, overindulgence in just overall entertainment. And all that leads to the imbalance of the earth. And so when we understand from a Buddhist viewpoint, we have to step back and we have to observe everything that's going on right now. A lot of the reasons people destroy the environment is because of greed. Right? And then, or we invade some nation because of greed, right? And then we cause turmoils between two political parties or two rival nations, and we spark the anger, and all that continues to move forward through ignorance.
Yes.
And so when we understand, if we take a step back and we look at the overall picture, what we have to do is we have to learn how to preserve what we have right now, so then the future generations behind us can also live in the same earth that we are. If we destroy what we have right now, then how do we expect our grandkids or our great-great-grandkids to survive or live the life that we have right now? A lot of us wants our kids to have the life we didn't have, but if we destroy the chances of the life that they have by destroying the environment, then how can we preserve something for the future generation?
Right. So that goes appropriately with morality in Buddhism.
Yes.
Because when you're doing things based on greed and your ignorance, then you're also doing things that are also in turn harming, whether you see it or not, the whole area around you. So as a collective, if we choose to be ignorant of taking care of what are the causes and conditions of climate change and so forth, then we should hopefully clear the mist upon what's going on, and hopefully if the whole world is pushing towards this agreement, then we can hopefully drive in that if we don't take care of what we consume, because of obviously everyone can help a little bit, even though we may see people in the news and political spectrum, the highest of heads, disagreeing, we can also do our part into limiting use of excess material, excess hazardous waste or excess things into environment. And so one of the ways is, if we can influence the public, what are your thoughts upon methods of living with the environment? Should we learn to limit our wants appropriately, and how should we know what we should need instead of as opposed to what we should want?
Live in balance of yourself, right? Knowing how much of an intake you need, and don't overindulge. Right? If you go, for example, like when you go to a buffet, what do people usually do?
They stock up on all the seafood or something.
They stack up and their plate is extremely like overflowing, right? But the majority of the people, when they do that, do they eat all their food?
No.
No. What do? They throw it away.
Yeah.
Then that food that can be used for someone else to eat is now in the trash because of your greed, right? If one person was to do that, right? How do you imagine 300 people or 300 million people in the United States?
Wouldn't see the concept.
I've read that in 1 year, the United States produced 40 billion pounds of wasted food in 1 year.
Wow.
So if we were to just cut back on just our consumption and limit to just little portions at a time, then we can cut back on the resources that we use. Because imagine this, if you have a plate of food, it's not just that simple. It went through a major process from being caught out in the wilderness to being home, and then going through all like the refinery process, and then to a restaurant where it's like cooked by a chef, and all these things to get what you have right now. So it went through a lot of resources, it went through a lot of money, it went through a lot of trouble just to get where it is for you to conveniently pick up and put in your plate. You didn't see that bigger process. So if people were to have more of an insight to see the bigger process and not to be consumed by greed and overindulgence of food, then if one person were to do that and influence other people to do that, then we can cut back on our consumption and the use of like the natural resources.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main things, is to be always aware of our own kind of virtues, but also aware of our weaknesses as well. So having that kind of awareness of selfishness inside of ourselves will also help us lead us into a more calmer life, because I believe this is what one of the Buddhists says, that a householder should accrue wealth like a bee that gets flower from pollen from the from the flower, because it doesn't kill its beauty or its fragrance, but you still collect what it is. So a human should, as we should live and act, we should also do actions that allow us to not harm the environment, but just letting us get benefits. And I'm sure with today's consciousness, if we allow more hatred and kind of greed to consume this modern world and not have our minds open to more of the consensus of solar powered energy or methods of production or eating food in a certain way, then we will all be in kind of a balance and in harmony with kind of Earth. And hopefully as we strive on into thinking this way, thinking as a way of most of the things that we take for granted, and those things stray us from what I think the Buddha wants us to be truly happy, and to get rid of those things. Because as we act and we move towards ignorantly taking and consuming things, and not act as to bring our awareness out towards others that are suffering, others that are hungry, then we might consider each bite we take as one that should be taken with much delight as we fill ourselves, and not with waste as we cannot consume anymore and we throw it away. And so I hope every kind of thing we do as we practice in terms of our household, whether you're watching this channel or watching Political Network, it shouldn't irritate you to make you likewise act more angry towards your system, but do what you can do for yourself in terms of daily basis. And if there's any kind of ways for us to do so, we also have a homeless drive coming in pretty soon, but it might not show during that. But if you were to do so, we're always welcome to hold things that people have excess of, clothing for whatever season, because as we hold on to those, we'll bring it into our next drive for the homeless.
Yes.
Because these things we hope for us and as a community to work together and to grow not only in our Los Angeles branch, but also in our Orange County branch.
Exactly.
But thank you very much for this time. And without ado, it's our break time right now. So we'll catch you after the commercial break. Thank you.
世疆吞并中